Yes, if you are a delighted North End fan, then you're in very good company on this week's episode of Where North End Are. Welcome back. We've got Etienne, Ash and Harvey to run the rule over that 3-0 win over Burnley. Happy with that one, fellas?
Could say
yes.
I thought you might be. We'll get into it in a second. We're talking about Preston North End on 90 minutes away from Wembley. Hey, and forget that, they're 3 games away from European football, for Christ's sake. We're also talking about the ticket sales for the Villa game, and poor old Kane Kesler-Hayden can't even play in it. We'll get the views on that in a second. We're also talking about the February Player of the Month, and we're manifesting the playoff final as well, and talking about whether North End are still in it. Heckingbottom, of course, returns to Bramall Lane, of course, this weekend. We're previewing the Sheffield United result. But, Ash, we missed you last week when the Burnley fans were giving it. Would you like to respond any to these Burnley fans that have been giving it large?
Yeah, you got pumped, you bunch of dafties, basically. Got absolutely battered and embarrassed as well. So, yeah, happy days.
Good stuff. I mean, Harvey, I watched it. I thought you were absolutely, from minute 1 to minute 90, by far the best side. Who impressed you the most?
Kesler-Hayden for me, just because I saw the team sheet and I saw Collier show, and obviously I think every single Burnley fan like rants and raves about him, and from what I've seen of him, he does look a really good player. So I thought, given the system, I thought, Kesler-Hayden might have, like a worrying day, but I pocketed him from minute 1, and it was just a joy to watch. But I think you could have picked any player on that pitch, maybe bar Will Keane, and it would have been. I could have said the same about any of them, but yeah, from minute 1, like you said, we were just unbelievable, and it was genuinely a joy to watch.
We're going to talk about the Sheffield United game in a second, and if you look back to the start of the season under your previous manager Etienne, you wouldn't have dreamed, would you, back then, that we'd be talking about Preston in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup against Aston Villa?
No chance. I think at the start of the season, or even last season, our luck with cups was just dreadful, and the fact that our performances, I don't think we could have. I never saw us performing in such a big game like Burnley, and instead we've just come out all guns blazing, overturned them. Yeah, it's just a performance to be proud of, a position to be proud of, the lowest ranked side still in the competition, and when you look at the teams in it, you can't help but get a bit excited because it's not the strongest final 8 ever. Yeah,
and a Villa side, Ash, that, to be honest, are quite indifferent. Sometimes they're great, and if you just catch them on their day, then they are beatable, aren't they?
That's debatable. I'm not sure about that. I think they've got probably maybe the second best manager in the Premier League. If he can't find a way to put a couple past us, I'm not sure if he should be in the job. So, yeah, I'm not massively hopeful now that we've lost Kane Kesler-Hayden as well. He can't play. That's a massive shame for us. But I guess the FA Cup in it, you never know what happens. It could end up being a Friday night under the lights at Deepdale. Is always a challenge for away side. So, yeah, fingers crossed.
Absolutely. We will look at the Villa game and Sheffield United in a second, but I want to draw a line under this Osmajic stuff as well, and we'll never speak about it again, promise you. We've got to mention it, I'm sure. Burnley fans are saying that the way that some Preston fans are, heralding him and putting all the memes out there with the ears and so on is disgusting, disgraceful behaviour. I'm guessing you have a different view.
Yeah, I think he's. I was arguing with somebody the other day because there was like the way he's reacted isn't like he shouldn't be celebrating like that, and I was like, why? Because the main thing is he's celebrating scoring a goal for one. 2, Burnley fans up until that moment were giving him stick all game, saying this, that, and the other. And 3, again, I don't know how many people I'm going to have to address this same point to. Until he's been proven of something, nothing matters. I don't care who says what. I don't care what your opinions are. I don't care what you think of him. Until you give me a factual basis where Milutin Osmajic has been found guilty of racial abuse, be quiet. And that might sound harsh, but it's a fact. He can celebrate as much as he likes, giving it all of that, which I think is brilliant, by the way, to fans who wrongly criticise him because nobody knows a single thing, and I think it's absolutely deserved. And I praise him 100% for it because again, like I said, up until this moment, he's done nothing wrong, and I think until the FA or whoever's dealing with it decides on that matter, it shouldn't be commented on again. So all of these people who are saying, "Oh, how are you celebrating a racist claiming as if it's already happened?" is bizarre to me, and I will support Osmajic every single second until a statement comes out telling me he's guilty, and that's that.
Well said. And I think with that, we will draw a big line under all of it. And just from me to all of you, each of the three of you have had to talk about this over the last couple of weeks, and I think you've all handled that very, very sensibly. So hats off to all of you. We are drawing a line under this until Burnley Preston is the playoff final, which is just going to happen, isn't it? I've just got a weird feeling. We are not done here with this fixture. But let's crack on. Right, Etienne, then when the draw was made yesterday then for the quarterfinals, who are you secretly hoping for?
I was hoping for maybe a Fulham or a Palace at home or City away. But when that draw got done, the first thing I thought was Kesler-Hayden's out. And then the second thing I thought was this tie might actually be winnable. I think when you think of an FA Cup fixture, either early lunchtime or under the lights at Deepdale, there's sort of that magic sometimes that comes with it. Like we could actually go out and put another performance in, especially seeing Saturday. So knowing Villa will be without Rashford because he's cup tied. They might be without key players because they've still got injuries. Yes, we probably are going to have to put Bauer at right centre back, which is going to be fun. But I'm really, really excited. I think there's a big chance we could overturn him.
Does it help, Ash, that obviously this comes after the international break and actually most of the Villa players will be, at different camps, whereas the Preston guys, most of them will solidly be training for the game. Do you think that will have any bearing on it?
I don't know. It depends how many minutes they're playing with the national sides. I mean, I think if I'm not mistaken, we might have one or two people gone. Probably not a great deal. So you would hope that we can get in and do a few extra days training, or you can do a bit more game. But at the end of the day, they're Premier League players. They're like the top of the game. The fitness should be the best in the world. So it shouldn't have that much of an effect because they're such high class players. But yeah, we can hope it does, and just hope Heckingbottom has a superb game plan again.
Okay. I want to talk to you about ticket sales, if that's okay. Two prongs to this. First of all, the ticket sales for the Burnley game, Harvey. Lots was made of this online as to why perhaps the club weren't able to sell more. This is not a disparaging on anyone at Preston. Why do you think at 20 quid a head more fans weren't up for that game? Was it the opponent, do you think? Was it the fact it was on TV? Why did Preston struggle to sell?
I think it's a few reasons. I think for me, the main, I was going to say the main one, but I don't think it is. A big one for me was a fact. I think the club promoted it a bit too late for me. I feel like until a lot of fans started saying that the club hadn't done enough promotion-wise, there wasn't really anything, to build an atmosphere for this sort of game. I feel like a lot of people, however, again, I feel like the TV comes into play. I feel like a lot of people would just rather sit at home. I think a big one for me was I saw a lot of fans just kind of making excuses, really. Like I saw a lot of fans definitely with like a negative mindset. I think a lot of them thought that Burnley were just going to turn up and turn us over. And it was quite sad to see, to be honest. I understand that Burnley are a very good side, especially in the Championship. But again, like Ash said earlier, it's the FA Cup. Anything can happen. We watched Plymouth Argyle knock out was soon to be Premier League champions in Liverpool. So it just shows you the magic of the competition. And I feel like a lot of fans could have helped build on that if the club had just promoted more, or maybe it wasn't on TV. But yeah, I definitely feel like there should have been a bigger atmosphere than there was. But even still, I was on that game and I was still very happy with how the atmosphere turned out. I thought Deepdale was rocking, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I watched it on TV. It sounded great. Jake says this would be an interesting case study. It'd be interesting to question the public why they're not bothering on the reasons why. We could get to the quarterfinal. The Derby, we can't even sell out £20 at their reasonable price too. We sell Blackpool out, but not this. Etienne, thoughts?
Yeah, just kind of echoing the same things. Just because of the time. I really didn't think there was enough promotion until the final couple of days of the fixture. Not much was really made of it, and then fans started highlighting. It felt like the club just tried to manufacture that. I think that should be a natural thing. I think the club should be doing everything they can to get fans through the door, but also, I always believe that because we're so close to bigger teams, and if we're not playing some kind of star-studded fixture, Preston v Burnley in the FA Cup 5th round, it's huge for us. It's massive for us, but for possible people who are trying to get into football, they might look at that and go, well, we could just go to City down the road. And it's not really that hard to blame them in the situation that we're in, the club that we are, because it's a 40-minute train journey. Yeah. And you look down on that. You look down on that as a Preston fan because you're like, you could support your local club. We could be filling out the gate and that stadium could have been even louder. So it's just, I want to see a bit more promotion going into the Villa match because I do think we need to deck the crowd out. It's going to be a tough game. Villa are going to bring their numbers. We need to sell the crowd out. And I want to see just a bit more pushing from the club to get fans through the door.
You'll sell that out, Ash, won't you? Easy?
You would hope so, although I think maybe if we'd have got City at home, it would have been a guarantee. I don't know if that many people up here are that as bothered about Villa. But I do think on what you've just mentioned, I think there was some screenshots taken of the seating map, and they were taken early. It was payday for a lot of people on the Friday. And I think it was an advantage taken by some Burnley fans quite early on to take a screenshot, make us look tin pot, and then try and carry that into the weekend. So I think we'll do quite well. I think there'll be quite a big crowd against Villa. We'll likely give them the full end as well. And you've just got to hope that there's, a good atmosphere. Hope that our fans are as up for it as they were the Burnley game. So we'll see.
Absolutely. Finally, on this topic, then the North End podcast. If you don't listen to it, go and have a listen. They say the Hull away for Gentry Day is a game that simply doesn't matter, or a sold-out Deepdale with the entire ground wearing bowler hats with what will be our most watched game in years by people around the country is a no-brainer. They say so. From one podcast to another, Harvey, are they right?
I think they've got a point. Like, obviously, I think the only issue is I should be right in saying I think Gentry Day is usually an away game. I don't know if Ash or Etienne can confirm it, but it is usually.
It's been at home before. It is usually away, but I think it's been at home once. I can't remember the game though. It was years ago.
I don't really. It doesn't bother me too much, but I do feel like they have a point. I feel like if you was to go to, again, like Hull away, it is kind of just a meaningless game now. Whereas I think the club definitely have the chance to put an event on it, kind of thing, or like a tradition on it. And as well, I do feel like that might also help bring a lot of the older generation fans in. If there's something that's been like long lasting. So if it was up to me, I probably would have the Villa game as Gentry Day just because I feel like it might add that extra little bit of attendance.
Okay. Any other views from either of you two? Are you strongly on that?
Yeah, I'm all for it being at home. I get it's an away thing. I posted on Twitter that I think it's a good idea because it gets more positive press for us. It gets eyeballs on us and it stops people talking about what's happened previously. And I think to bring more eyes to a great tradition of the club can only be a good thing, right? So I think we should, just for this one season, because when do we ever get to a quarterfinal? But the only caveat is, if on the off chance we do beat Villa, there's an away game at Wembley, and that would be incredible to have it there. So it's a tough one on the off chance that happens, but I think it's not massively likely it does. So I, for 1 year, would have it at home.
Okay, right. Cheers for that. But as Preston North End, the only Championship representative now left in the FA Cup, what a job Heckingbottom has done. Absolutely superb. And we were chatting to our Sheffield United fans, of course, on their podcast, looking ahead to the game this weekend, and they are full of praise for your manager, and he's going to get a great reception when he steps out at Bramall Lane, of course, on Saturday. Let's look ahead to that game now. I think, Etienne, that this isn't a foregone conclusion this weekend. United fans think that it will be, but I'm not so certain. We don't know how the Swansea game's gone, of course, and injury-free, of course, but do you think you might at least pick up a point?
There's definitely a chance now. I think we're going to be looking to get the wind in our sails. We need to beat Swansea tomorrow. I would be really disappointed if we drop any points to them. But yeah, look, Sheffield United for me were quite uninspiring in their defeat against Leeds. I think they were quite unlucky, but from the 60 minutes that I saw before I jumped on here last week, wasn't impressed at all. But yeah, it's going to be a case of trying to not churn out our usual away performance against big team and collapsing, and just trying to stay strong, create chances when we can, and be clinical when it comes.
Yeah. Were you impressed with them when they visited Deepdale at the start of the season, Ash, at all? Do you remember them being, a different league apart? I mean, it was a Ryan Lowe team. I know we can't really draw comparisons.
I think they were all right. I don't think they looked like world beaters. I think we still had a bit of a hangover from the previous season with the regime that was still in place. And I think there was a massive negative aura about the squad at that time. And I think since Heckingbottom's come in, what's happened is they're probably still as good as they were, but we're 10 times better than we were. So I'd put us in with a shout this time of maybe we get 3 points. You never know what happens, do you? I guess it's kind of like flipping a coin at the minute with us. We're either incredible or we don't show up at all. But yeah, I'm quite confident going into it, which you wouldn't have caught me saying a few months ago.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It could be one of those Norwich games, Harvey, where you just turn up and just, no one gives you a prayer, but you do surprise some people. How do you keep them quiet, though? Because they've got such an array of attacking talent. You think about Britton Diaz and Hamer and, Tom Cannon, of course.
I think as much as you can compliment like the dangerousness of the attacking Sheffield United side, I think you could also definitely comment on the massive improvement that our defence has had as well. I feel like we don't leak as much goals as we would have in previous seasons. I think we've spoke loads and loads about the addition of Gibson and Porteous being, like astute to the defence and how much better we look. So I do think it is just about keeping organised, just making sure that we're not making any silly mistakes at the back, like no clangers from Woodman, fingers crossed. And I think it's just about setting the team up right to be able to defend that way, but to make sure that you're also creating enough chances to put them under pressure at the other end as well.
Yeah, I was impressed with Woodman. I don't know what you threw on about all season. He did a couple of good saves.
I'm not. No, we're not doing this. We're not giving Woodman his flowers. Not again. We've learned from that.
I think maybe one good
save and he messes up.
I'm joking. Right. Cheers for that, all of you. Right. Thank you for all the views and subscriptions last week. Do drop a subscribe if you're just coming across the channel this week. Thank you for getting us over 100 subscribers. That's amazing for something that's only been going 31 weeks. We massively appreciate it. Right. February Player of the Month time then, please. We try and not give it to the obvious, of course, and not choose the one the club are going to choose. So, Etienne, can you kick this one off? Who's the unsung Player of the Month for February?
I'm giving my flowers to Stefan Feddarsen. I think he's really, really proved me wrong. I wasn't a fan of him initially at all, but he's slowly getting there, and I think in the last month he's just been incredible. I had a couple of criticisms about him at Coventry. I think he could have definitely gone forward a bit more, tried to look for that forward pass a bit more, but he's sensible, he's controlled. That ball to Hughes on Saturday was, an absolute peach. Keep it up, please, because you're going to be the heartbeat of our midfield if you do.
Yeah, good shout. Ash?
Yeah, Etienne's hit the nail on the head. Like, absolutely. I couldn't have put it better myself. I even said previously that I've completely changed my views on him because of what's happened over the past month. He's he's transformed. A couple of people have commented that he's just got used to the pace and he's kind of finding an extra touch here and there, which is giving him time to set his passes. He does it the odd one or two, like into nowhere. But yeah, I guess you've got to forgive that when he's hitting so many good passes as well. My runner-up would probably be Ledson, just for the effort that he's been putting in, and we need to give him another year, I think.
Okay. All these are good stuff. Harvey, have they left you with anything?
Yeah, I do like Steph, don't get me wrong, and I think, like they both said, he has massively improved, but there is, just for now, I do think there's the odd 1 or 2 games where I feel like he could do a bit more, or, like he's not driving forward as much as I'd personally like. But obviously, it's his first season, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But I'm going to give it to Ledson. Just like Ash said, I think the effort and commitment he's been putting in, especially since Whiteman's been out of the team, I think it's done enough to warrant giving him at least another year. I think you can especially see how much he loves the club, and I just think he's been like an unsung hero for me, just a bit of a standout as well.
Okay, let's agreed on all of those, and let us know in the comments if they've missed any, of course, as you always do. That's great. Finally, this week, we're chatting, of course, we're wrapping up our predictions for the Championship. Next week, we'll be asking you who would you like to come up to see from League One. I know one name that's not going to be on Preston Name's lips for that one, mentioning no names. We're going to discuss now what is our dream playoff final. Preston will finish, let's assume, I don't know, just outside or mid-table. So who would we love to watch at Wembley if it's not North End? We've still got you in there, because I think if you beat Swansea and can go on a little bit of a run, there's an outside chance still that we might see North End at Wembley. Well, we could see you at Wembley 3 times, couldn't we, I suppose, in the month of May. That would be just amazing. But who deserves to be there? Ash?
I want to see Bristol City push on for it. I think the two will. I think Coventry are going to get there. I don't like the fans. Quite like the job that Lampard's done, although my feelings on Lampard. Yeah. I think he's doing a great job, and they probably on recent form deserve to be there. I just have this feeling that Bristol City are going to sneak 6th. And I also think that based on what we saw at the weekend, when it comes to a big game, I think Burnley might struggle to have a game plan to just go out and win one game. So I would like the Coventry Bristol City final if possible. Okay. If not us, obviously.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the Preston Bristol City final is just the dream one, isn't it? The two of you been in this league for far too long. Harvey?
I don't really have 2 teams. I just personally prefer one, and it'd be Middlesbrough. I just feel like they're just such a really good club. I think they've got such a class set of fans. They always come in the numbers to Deepdale. A lot of Borough fans I spoke to, like some of the soundest people I've ever met, and they don't hold any like biased views or anything like that. Like when it's going wrong, it's going wrong, and the same when it's right. So anybody but Burnley and Blackburn against Borough for me, and I think I'd be happy.
Okay, Etienne.
It's a tough one for me, because there's a lot of clubs that I don't really care about on that screen. I really dislike Coventry, so if anything, I'd love to see them get humbled. But I'm thinking about it now. I'd like Sunderland to go back up. I'm starting to respect them a bit more as a club. I think they're a sleeping giant. So maybe a Sunderland v Middlesbrough. I agree with the whole Middlesbrough point. Yeah, they're great fans, good club. I just don't. Carrick is not been the most convincing recently. But yeah, let's go Sunderland, Middlesbrough.
Okay. Right, good shout. Let us know in the comments if you disagree. Right, you 3, thank you very much again this week. Well done. Just say I'm really enjoying this. I feel like I'm becoming a Preston fan. I feel like, I feel like I'm living this with you a little bit. I know I'm a fraud, but absolutely delighted when that first goal went in. And when the second went in, I did smile a lot. Naughty. Right. See you next week. Enjoy the Sheffield United game. Hopefully you beat Swansea. We'll see you back in 7 days' time to review it all. Cheers for watching.
Thank you.